What fact did you learn at an embarrassingly late age? I learned that I grew up in a white trashy family around 10 through television. One night, I was watching TV and Jeff Foxworthy came on. I was a very content-only child who to the best of my knowledge got everything they ever wanted and had no idea about things could needed to be otherwise. Well, old Jeff was well into his skit and I was avidly listening. If you watch TV on a TV that sits on top of a broken TV, you might be a redneck. Wait, what? I'm watching TV sitting on top of a broken TV. If you have a broken down car sitting in your front yard that hasn't been moved in years, you might be a redneck. We have 5 of those. WTH, this isn't normal. If you have appliances in your yard. If you've got shacks in your yard. If you live in a trailer next to a house, if, etc. You might be a redneck. I looked around and painfully realized that I was living all of those things. So, that was the day I found out I was a redneck. It's called metal because it's harder than rock. I spent way too much time thinking of shut like steel and iron and wondering what the duck this is supposed to mean. I still don't know. Explain. Music. I was 23 on a trip with my girlfriend in San Francisco. We were both getting ready for the day in the bathroom and I needed my hair gel, so I asked if she could hand me my toilet treat bag. She seemed confused. I again asked, "Can you please hand me my bag of toilet treats?" She ran out of the bathroom laughing. TLDR, I thought toiletries was toilet treats. SMH. MMMM. Urinal cakes. I renamed a goldfish Rainbow when I was 7 because it kept changing color every few months. I told friends about this fish for years, like it was some mystical kaleidoscope fish. It hit me in the face a couple months ago that the fish wasn't changing color. My parents were just replacing it when it died without telling me. Mom, shouldn't we buy a fish that's at least the same color? Dad, nah, kids aren't that bright. I didn't realize that Mike Mears plays both Austin Powers and Dr. Evil till the 3rd Austin Powers movie came out. He's Goldmember and fat bastard too. No, that's too much for me to handle. My dad would tell me bullshit things to mess with me as a kid. Usually he would remember eventually to correct it. Sometimes, however, he forgot. I went through the first 17 years of my life thinking an artichoke was a nocturnal rodent. Went to Italian restaurant and was horrified to see artichoke hearts on the menu. My girlfriend still gives me shit for it 3 years later. This would have ruined me as a kid. I was far too literal and believed everything my parents told me. My dad once told me that snapping turtles will bite you and won't let go until the sun goes down. I spent years wondering why the sun going down would make them release, but I believed it. My dad did the exact same thing. I was under the impression that male nipples were not called nipples, but were called a completely made up word my dad called them, which was Denise. I was probably 11 or so until I tried to answer an anatomy question in school with that word and everyone looked at me like I was insane. My ex-wife did not know helicopters could hover until around age 23. She saw a copter over a scene in San Diego and asked me, how is that helicopter just floating in one spot? I was like, what? Good call on the divorce there. Married a real dummy, huh? When I was a young boy I had a black football coach. I'm white. I asked him, "Hey coach, do black people get hotter in the sun than white people?" And he responded, "Well, I don't know, I've never been white." And then it hit me. Oh. I thought if you just blew into a balloon it would rise. I didn't realize it was the helium that caused the balloon to float until I was 18 and receptioning at a salon and had an extremely embarrassing moment of blowing up the balloons, tying the strings to them, and asking a co-worker why they were just laying on the ground. She almost died laughing. I always bragged that I beat my dad at basketball when I was 4 or 5. So much so that it never occurred to me that he let me win until I was in my late teens. Sign of a good dad. Or polio. When I was a toddler I had older kid neighbors. Once they raced me around the block and let me get a huge head start. Basically, they never even ran. They tricked me into running around the block by myself. I was beyond shocked when they beat me. I swear it took me until I was in my late teens to solve that mystery. And I'd been telling that story for years. How did those kids beat me? I have some friends in their 30s who think behaving means being haved. That's have pronounced like shaved. They will ask their own kids, are you being have? Like have means good. I want to correct them, but I don't. My brother thought the same thing when he was younger. Since he was the youngest, my sister and I would always try to blame stuff on him, and in a panicked voice he'd tell my mom, I'm being haved. Just talked to a coworker the other day who didn't know his name was Jason until 3rd grade. His initials were JT and his family called him by that, and so he thought that was his name. During roll call in class, the teacher was asking for a Jason and he just sat there thinking some sucker is late for class. Then the name JT was never called and confusion ensued. The same thing happened to me in 1st grade. Teachers told me my first name, and I didn't believe them. After school I asked my dad about it, and I was still convinced that they assigned me a second name. I didn't know that sass required motion until I was 18. I didn't understand an erection or ejaculation. I thought you just stuck it in and went to sleep, and that was sass. My husband doesn't let me live this one down. Once you've been married for a while, this is almost exactly how it works. For most of my life I assumed Neil Armstrong was a black man, because I'd never seen Neil outside the spacesuit, but I had seen Louis Armstrong. It never occurred to me that there would be anything unusual about a black astronaut in the 60s. I thought Bing Crosby was black until I was in my late 20s. I'm not sure why. Never saw a picture of him, and maybe the similarity to the name Cosby. My best friend freshman year asked me how accurately a man had to jizz on a woman's breasts to get her pregnant. Boy, was that a surprise to him. I'll just play it safe and come in her vajayjay. It's for all intents and purposes. Not for all intensive purposes. Learned at age 30. Thanks Reddit. Pickles come from cucumbers. So do some girls. While we're at it, raisins are dried grapes, and prunes are dried plums. What's beef jerky? Dried parts of a cow that had Parkinson's. I thought I feel like a dog in heat meant that you felt uncomfortably warm, like a dog in hot weather would feel. I was in the back of my friend's Suburban on a road trip through Southern California when her parents asked if we wanted them to turn on the air conditioning. Yes please. I feel like a dog in heat. As a non-English speaker, what does it mean? It sounds like you thought it was. Edit. Got it. Female dog wants to duck. There actually are carrots in carrot cake. I assumed it was a joke because it's orange, and we were all in on it. That the little piggy who went to market wasn't going shopping for groceries. Last year it hit me. I didn't know that dusters were used for cleaning dust off furniture until I was in middle school. When I misbehaved, my mother would beat me with a duster, so I assumed its only purpose was to be a beating stick. I figured the fuzzy part of it was to provide comfort for my mother's hand as she hit me. I'm 28. I only learned this year that ponies aren't just baby horses. Wait, what? Baby horses are foals. If I remember correctly, to be a pony, a horse has to be less than 58 inches at the shoulder blade. I was 34 before I realized that the Beatles spell their name Beatles because it has the word beat in it. I never really considered it before, just kind of thought it was a funny way to spell Beatles. I was 23 when it came to my attention that an engagement ring and a wedding band are two separate things. Isn't one expensive symbol of uniformity enough? Don't forget the third ring, the suffering. Until the age of 14, I thought Princess Diana was a famous marine biologist. They always called her the Princess of Wales. So, one time in 7th grade science, my class was having a discussion about volcanoes, and then out of nowhere, a kid in the back yelled in the most surprised voice ever, "Wait, volcanoes are real?" I was a few months away from turning 17 and The Dark Knight was coming out. I checked IMDb to see what actors and characters would be in it, and that's when I learned that Harvey Dent's evil nickname is Two-Face, not toothpaste as I had always thought. I never saw the name written down in the animated series. Half his face was white and the other half was blue, and I just never really questioned it. A coworker was helping me move something outdoors, and he suddenly is staring at the sky bewildered. I asked if he was okay, and, I shut you not, he says, "Whoa. I can see the moon, and it's day." He's 24 and I had no idea how to respond to that. Until I was 17 I thought getting knocked up just meant having sass. As a guy, this was an awkward thing to wish upon myself. Man, I wish Sarah would knock me up, like real good. My uncle was in England during the war. A girl asked a policeman to come knock her up at 8 AM tomorrow, meaning to knock on her door and wake her up. At least that's what he assumed. I didn't realize you were supposed to chew sunflower seeds to get the seed inside. I thought you just ate the black seeds whole. I on the other hand thought you just sucked the salt off and then spit them out. I had no idea there was anything inside. How to ride a bicycle. Also, Ray-Bans are called that because they ban the sun's rays from entering your eyes. What? I always thought there was a dude called Ray-Ban that created the brand and named it after himself. Like Ray-Ban sunglasses that eventually just got shortened to Ray-Bans. That the tuna isn't a little bitty fish, but a really big fish. I thought queef meant a really loud, prolonged butt fart. I gave myself the moniker Queef Master because I can fart on command. No wonder my friend's parents thought I was a weird kid. Difference between foreshadowing and foreplay. Grandmother was amused, mom was mortified. Either way, you know something is coming. Until January of 2014, when I was 28, I thought that the 7 seas were the 7 seas, meaning the 7 continents. Man, I bet pirates threw you right the duck off. There was that guy who didn't know that men sat on the toilet seat when they poop. He was sitting on the rim of the toilet his whole life. I don't have the link, but there was one thread where a dude didn't realize you put the shower curtain inside the tub while you're showering. He had been getting water all over the floor every time his whole life. What an uncircumcised Venus looked like in resting mode. It looks like it's trying to whistle, but it's sad about it. That the female urethra does not exit at the clitoris. At least you know that the female urethra exists. The number of people out there who think women pee from their vajayjay is too damn high. I'm a girl and had another girl in high school find out I was using tampons instead of pads. She exclaimed to me, "But how do you pee with that in there?" I always thought the song I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus meant that the mother was having a torrid affair with a fat dude in a red suit, not that it was the father dressed in costume. A week ago I finally made the connection that the hood is short for the neighborhood. I'm 23. Somehow the conversation of superhero names came up with my girlfriend, 29, the other day, and she mentioned Wolverine being named after wolves. I kinda looked at her and said Wolverine was named after wolverines. She stared back blankly. One Google Images search later, and I had taught a biology major about a new animal. I thought cats were a breed of dog until I was about 15. I just learned a few months ago that lightning does not happen when 2 clouds touch each other. That was a very sad and very disappointing day. When I was a young kid I thought attractive people and celebrities didn't have toes. I thought their feet were perfect like the feet of a Barbie. I wanted to be famous, so I could have feet like a Barbie. I thought toes were gross. Chocolate milk doesn't come from chocolate cows. I thought there were chocolate cows until I was a college senior. That Danish people are from Denmark. Found that out about 2 weeks ago. At age 17. Finally learned that a Mini Cooper is manufactured by the Make Mini and the line of cars is Coopers. Until this I always thought that Mini Coopers were Mini Coopers and always wondered why I never saw regular full-sized Coopers. I figured that the Minis were just exceedingly more popular for some reason. To be fair, I cannot think of a single other model of car from Mini. I live in the southwest US. TLDR, Mini Coopers are not miniature size of a full-sized Cooper. The actual definition of fornicate. For the longest time I thought it just meant to flirt with someone. Yeah Jim, I've been fornicating with this girl for weeks now, but I'm not sure if she likes me at all. I thought that when people lose a body part their organism could regenerate the missing part until I was 13. If I saw someone with a half of an arm missing I thought good shot, his arm is almost complete. Did you know spleens actually exist? I swear, until I was 22 I just thought it was a word someone made up because it sounded funny and visceral, like jibs. Edit. Yes, okay, jibs are real too. From about 5th grade to 8th, I had the wrong understanding of what a dildo was. My friend Joe told me that it was when you cut off someone's duck and put it on a stick. Then I mentioned that one day and everyone was just like, what the duck, dude? Putting boner pills in your car's gas tank will not stiffen the suspension and increase torque. I only realized that the hole was an actual round hole at about 16 when I saw it in porn. I previously assumed it was just a big long slit between the cheeks. You're supposed to clean under your foreskin. I thought the term prima donna was prima donna. I always wondered what happened before her that would demand a new term. A friend also asked me why Ellen was named Ellen the Generous. He said I get that she is generous, but she isn't that noteworthy. It's not like she's Alexander the Great or something.